What a beautiful book you have there in the front row.
So Kathy had asked us to ask you if you could Skype with us in Winter Haven with our Chat and Chew group. So you graciously accepted, and you wrote to Nanette, I can hardly wait to Skype with Chat and Chew. We have
And here we go.
we have a live stream. There's live streaming all over the United States and one in Mexico and the Arizona live stream.
Hola.
She said to tell you that they use your book and they had a potluck and they used recipes, and we all do too. So,
Well, thank you so much. I hope the recipes turned out okay.
Oh, okay. Karen, did you get to meet him? Did you have a question while you're up there? No? Okay.
Just glad to see you feeling better from the cruise, and hope to see you
yeah.
next year.
Okay, who wants to ask a question? Oh, good.
Anybody?
do I need to do that too? We'll have to
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll go with you.
Sorry if I'm making anybody seasick.
Dr. Greger, let me thank you for so much for your work. You have greatly influenced my life as well as a lot of people's lives, so God bless you. My question is, I don't have a gallbladder, so is it okay for me to take turmeric?
Oh, absolutely. It's okay to take turmeric. There is no gallbladder for it to affect. What she's referring to is this really remarkable effect. In one of my videos, I show that I forget, it was this teeny amount, like, I don't know, like an eighth of a teaspoon or something, turmeric. You get this squeeze from your gallbladder. This remarkable, it squeezes in it. You can do ultrasound basically. You take some turmeric and your gallbladder squeezes down, releases bile. And that's actually a good thing because we want to keep things flowing. We don't want gallstones to form. We don't want the bile to stagnate. And so it's good to keep exercising. The only concern though is if you already have gallstones. And one is blocking the outlet to your gallbladder, and all of a sudden the gallbladder squeezes. It can be quite a painful reaction. So that's why that was just kind of a warning, a concern, a caution about turmeric consumption. But other than that, it's actually one of my daily dozen. I encourage people to eat a quarter teaspoon every day, and you should be no exception. So if you don't like it, too bad.
I put it in my oatmeal. One more quick question, and I'll give everybody else a chance. I have two friends that have gastroparesis. Do you have any suggestions for them?
Yeah, well, as always, we need to treat the cause. And so the question is, well, why do you have gastroparesis? Too often in medicine, we just kind of, accept that, you have reflux disease, or, you have arthritis, or, you have, and rather than asking the question, why do you have it? Is there anything we can do to treat the actual cause rather than just cover up the symptoms? So yes, there's things you can do for gastroparesis, but the most important thing is always saying what's causing it. Is it a nervous condition? Is that something to do with the musculature? There's a whole bunch of, there's these gastrointestinal tract hormones that play a role. And so if you treat the cause, then we don't need to worry about how to make things better because it'll get rid of it in the first place. And so I would just encourage them to talk to their GI docs to see if they can root out what is causing the problem in the first place.
Thank you so much.
Another one?
It got dark all of a sudden.
Okay, come on out. Okay.
You're the next contestant.
Can you tell us what foods are good for arthritis and what foods are bad?
Yeah, so it depends in part on what kind of arthritis you have. There's osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, but the more inflammatory arthritis, particularly rheumatoid arthritis, we have this body of evidence showing that plant-based diet, so you take people with rheumatoid arthritis, you randomize them into two groups, half eat the regular diet, the other half put them on a plant-based diet, and you see remarkable benefits in terms of morning stiffness and grip strength, as well as, objective laboratory markers showing decreases of inflammation. And so in general, we should be eating anti-inflammatory foods, staying away from pro-inflammatory foods. And so basically, it's a diet centered around whole plant foods with some of the particular, anti-inflammatory foods like ginger and turmeric, and making sure we are eating berries and greens, some of the best foods rather than just a whole food plant-based diet in general, and staying away from the pro-inflammatory foods. I've got a lot of videos on arthritis and all the different types of arthritis. You just type it in nutritionfactor.org and all the videos will pop up.
All right, thank you.
Can you say something about peripheral neuropathy?
Yeah, so again, what's causing the peripheral neuropathy? The most common cause here in the United States is diabetes. But there's a variety of different causes. Of course, we want to treat the cause. So in the case of type 2 diabetes, instead of just, there's a number of drugs and things you can do to mediate the impacts of peripheral neuropathy. Even better, how about treat the cause, get rid of the diabetes in the first place. Type 2 diabetes can be prevented, arrested, and reversed with a plant-based diet and other healthy lifestyle behaviors, and thereby impact one's risk of lower limb amputation and blindness and kidney failure, all the things associated with diabetes. And so, yes, we can control blood sugars with insulin and kind of sugar pills like metformin, but again, that's not treating the cause. That's just trying to slow down the rate at which you go blind, lose your kidney function, go on dialysis, and lose your feet. Rather than just slow down the course of decline, why not stop it, reverse it? But I think doctors either are just not aware of this research, don't know some of these diseases like heart disease are reversible, or they know, but they have this patronizing attitude that their doctors wouldn't be willing. People tell me all the time, fellow doctors, I can't even get my patients to stop smoking. There's no way they're going to change their diet like this. And I'm like, look, that may be the case, but it's not up to you to make their decisions for them, right? You should share with them, the best available balance of evidence, show their option. If they still want the bypass surgery, if they still want the insulin injections or whatever, well then, that's their body, their choice. But they also may surprise you and say, what? I can be on pills for the rest of my life, or I can actually just change what I'm eating. Sign me up.
What if the cause is not diabetes?
Well, so then you.
What else could it be? What else could it be?
So there's a number of neurological conditions. There are vitamin deficiencies. They give you a peripheral neuropathy. There are both what are called central conditions, which is the brain and spinal cord, peripheral nerve issues that can do it. There's demyelination disorders like multiple sclerosis and things. And so you need to see a good neurologist and figure out, kind of what's doing it. There is one cause of peripheral neuropathy that people eating plant-based diets are at increased risk of, and that's vitamin B12 deficiency. If you're not ensuring a regular, reliable source of vitamin B12 on a plant-based diet, one of the first symptoms is actually peripheral neuropathy. People start losing sensation in their toes. It's something that usually is reversible at that point, but we don't want to risk it. It's critically important. I recommend 2,500 micrograms of what's called cyanocobalamin, the cheapest form of vitamin B12, once a week. It's all the B12 you need. It's less than $5 a year, but critically important for anyone consuming a plant-based diet.
Right.
The question rages at my home about soy products. If we just ate more soy, we would be better like the Japanese. But I don't think the Japanese drink soy milk, eat soy burgers, have soy this and that. How much soy do you eat?
So actually, soy milk is a traditional soy product, as is tofu. But yeah, some of these highly processed, like the veggie burgers, veggie dogs, are kind of a new concoction and are missing many of the nutrients found in the actual whole soybean. So the best soy foods are the whole soy foods, like edamame, which are the immature green soybean pods, which make a great snack. That's the actual whole bean, right? So tempeh is better than tofu. With tempeh, actually, you can see the whole individual soybeans there, whereas tofu, you take, the soybean, you remove half the fiber, half the minerals, and you're left with tofu. It's kind of like the white bread of the soy kingdom. But look, soybeans start out so healthy, you can remove half the nutrition, you still have a really healthy food in tofu. But, why not, go that one step higher and choose whole soy food? So, I think like veggie burgers, veggie dogs, these are great transition food. Not everyone can go from eating, cheeseburgers and milkshakes to, kale and lentils the next day, right? It's just our tastes are not, and so being able to say, no, okay, have your burgers, but here, have a cholesterol-free burger that has less saturated fat and so much better, and they've gotten so, lifelike these days, you probably won't even tell the difference. But is that a healthy food? Well, compared to a regular burger, absolutely. But, compared to kidney beans, not even close. So, but it's a great stepping stone. And so soy foods can be great stepping stones, or the end goal if we're talking about whole soybeans.
Okay. Life Extension magazine and their scientists have come out so heavily in favor of metformin. They say that the industry accidentally hit a home run with the mitochondrial increase, and we're wondering, how much do you like metformin as a preventative for that?
Wow, that is quite a high-level question. Very exciting. So that's actually my next book. So right now I'm working on a book that will be out December 2019. But then the book after that, which will be out in 2022, will be about longevity, how not to age. And I will be talking about rapamycin, talk about all those, the mTOR repression of metformin and the pros and cons. But so far, I still have to do a deep dive, but I am skeptical.
So you're not taking a little just to...
I am not slipping a little metformin in my green smoothies every morning. No, I am not.
Okay. One last question, if I might, on depression and what we can do. I have a stepson that's suffering horribly with it right now, and recommendations that we might give him.
Yeah, so I have a number of videos on depression talking about specific foods that may help, and also other lifestyle interventions like exercise can have a real mood boosting effect. I talk about all the drugs. I talk about specific foods I think greens, butternut squash seeds. There's all sorts of specific foods that seem to be particularly beneficial when it comes to improving mood. But
how do you fix a seed to make it delicious?
Have you know? So next time you eat a butternut squash, you take the seeds, just rinse them over water to get off like the little stringy squash stuff, and then you just put it in a toaster at like 250. And not really toasting it, you're just kind of drying them out, and they become crispy and delicious. I sprinkle a little chili powder or smoked paprika, or there's all Cajun spices or whatever kind of spices you like, garlic granules, whatever, and you have this great, crunchy, delicious snack that you can just eat instead of, all the garbagey snacks.
Good, I have something fun to go home to. Thanks.
All right. Now I'm getting hungry.
Hi, Dr. Greger. We have a question from one of our live streamers.
All
She
right.
has tested positive for the APOE3/4 gene. And she does eat a plant-based diet, but are there any specific foods that she should eat or should avoid to lessen her odds for heart disease and Alzheimer's?
Well, it sounds like she's already doing what she needs to do. And so what should be, what she should take solace in is the so-called Nigerian Paradox, which I have a video about, which talks about, what we're talking about, this APOE4 gene, it increases one's risk of Alzheimer's disease, and And so you look around the world, and actually the highest rates, just kind of by chance, of this particular gene mutation is in Nigeria, but they actually have some of the lowest rates of Alzheimer's. You say, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense, until you realize what ApoE does. What it is it's the primary cholesterol carrier in your brain. But they were eating such plant-based diets, eating so little animal fat, they didn't have high enough cholesterol levels that it mattered what kind of ApoE4 they had in their ApoE gene they had in their head. And so diet trumps genes. Well, no matter what kind of bad genetic hand we've been dealt, we can kind of reshuffle the deck with diet.
Perfect. We have a wide variety in our group. There's some of us that have been eating plant-based for a long time, and there are some in the room that are just now thinking about it. So
Right.
Could you give us what you think, in somebody that's just starting, what their first 2 or 3 steps should be to head in the right direction?
Sure. Well, it depends a lot on people's psychology. I mean, some people are just kind of all or nothing people and, want to dive right in. Other people, want to test things out. The most important thing is it's not what you eat tomorrow or the next week, but like what you're going to eat for the rest of your life. So I would encourage people to take it slow, figure out ways that they can start incorporating some of these healthiest of healthy foods into their diet. Anyone can hold their nose and eat anything for a couple days, couple weeks, even eat nothing for a couple of days, couple of weeks. But that's not sustainable, right? You have to find things that are delicious, convenient, that really work for you, your family. And so, if it's a matter of, trying one thing until you find something you really like, oh, hummus, wow, this hummus stuff is great. Okay, I will incorporate that into my kind of weekly rotation of various foods. And then you find something else you really like. And you keep finding different ways to prepare things, different, you don't like one kind of bean, you try another kind of bean until you come across recipes that you can enjoy, that you like, and you be like, wow, I can't wait to eat this again. And then so slowly but surely, you start replacing some of the less healthy options with the healthier options, and just looking towards the long term. Now, having said that, if you're suffering from something like, type 2 diabetes or heart disease or something where, you're in kind of a critical state and you really need some, more kind of intensive changes, then, it's important to work with your physician, because you can actually get better so quickly. If you're on blood pressure lowering drugs or blood sugar lowering drugs, you can find yourself rapidly over-medicated within days, and your doctor has to start weaning you off some of these drugs. So you do it with your physician, particularly if you're making these large changes in your diet. But some of the first things you can do is remove some of the worst foods like the processed meat, trans fat, soda, and start adding some of the healthiest of healthy foods like beans, berries, the healthiest fruits, greens, the healthiest vegetables. And even those small tweaks can go a long way towards improving our health. And, doesn't matter what you eat on your birthday and holiday special occasions. It's the day-to-day stuff that really adds up. And on a day-to-day basis, we really should find creative ways to pack in as many whole plant foods as possible.
Thank you.
Since we should not be taking calcium supplements, is it okay to drink fortified plant milks?
The reason that's different, so yes, it's okay. The ideal source of calcium is what are called low oxalate dark green leafy vegetables, which are all greens with the exceptions of spinach, Swiss chard, and beet greens, which are fantastic foods. They're just a little stingy with their calcium, and don't have great absorbable calcium sources. But all other greens like, collards and kale and bok choy, etc., great sources of calcium. Why better sources than, fortified almond milk, soy milk? Because it's not a processed food, doesn't have added sodium, salt, and has all these other wonderful goodies like fiber and folate and potassium, all these other wonderful things they may be missing eating some kind of, soy milk or something. But of course, soy milk is better than dairy milk. But you say, well, wait a second, that's still kind of a large calcium load. It's actually not. The reason that we're concerned about calcium supplements is because we get this huge spike. So people take, like 500 milligram pills, and that gives you a huge spike in calcium levels in your blood, and that's what we think is causing the problem. Whereas physiologically, naturally, we get little bits of calcium throughout the day, and that's something like you get in a glass of soy milk. You get 100 here, 100 there, and those are the kind of more natural levels that you get throughout the day, and you don't get that that artificial kind of exaggerated spike in your calcium levels in the blood, which is why we think calcium supplements have been associated with heart attacks and other adverse cardiovascular outcomes.
You really rocked our world when you came out with your rice videos. Do you ever eat rice?
I try to diversify my grains.
Okay.
What does that mean?
That means that, no, there's no rice in my house. I've switched over to quinoa and barley and what?
I said yay quinoa.
Yay quinoa! I'm glad we have some quinoa fans out there. And rye. And it's actually been really neat to discover all these grains that I always knew about but never really included in my my daily diet. So. I have sadly found a way to replace rice. I'm hoping one of these days there'll be a nice arsenic-free source that's actually third-party certified and tested, and I can go back to eating one of my favorite grains.
Okay, I have a question. I wanted to jump on what you were saying about calcium. What do you think of drugs like Evista?
Wow, that is quite the Oh, wait a second, are you back? I see somebody. Can you see me? No, hello?
Can you see me?
Hello?
Here he is!
Yay! I'm back! Is there like a storm or something there? Why is the power going out?
There is a storm?
Oh, well, wait. I thought people go to Florida to get away from the storms.
No. Just the snow.
I think these osteoporosis drugs are the benefits are smaller than the big pharma would have you recognize, and the risks are greater. And so while they still may play a very limited role, I think they're overprescribed, and that we should treat the cause, which is primarily our sedentary lifestyles. We're just not putting weight on our bones. It's like astronauts, you lose 1% of their bone mass every month in space. And the reason is because their body, they're not using their bones. They're not putting pressure on their bones. It's to their body's like, why am I maintaining a skeleton if you're not going to use it? Like, I got better things to do. People think of bones as just like some kind of innate like building material or something, but no, bones bleed. Bones are active, living, breathing tissues that are constantly being built, broken down, remodeled. And so our body's not going to put that work if you don't put any energy into it. That's why weight-bearing exercise is critical. And if we're out walking every day and we're striking our heels against the pavement, our body's like, whoa, I better get some strong bones. And this can be particularly a problem for people who are skinny. And so this can place people who lose a lot of weight at increased risk. Losing weight is great for your joints and other things, but all of a sudden you just took 40 pounds off your bones, and your skeleton's like, well, I don't have to have such strong bones anymore. You're not carrying around any weight. That's why there's these weight vests that can help. People can carry backpacks around. But basically, the more weight we can keep in our bones, moving around, stressing them out, the more our body will build them to be strong. But if we're sitting in front of the TV all day, our body, we may as well be in the space station.
Okay, thank you.
I got 2 minutes.
One of our live streamers is also asking for some information about lipoprotein A, and is there a specific diet or specific foods for that? And is it possibly an inherited vitamin C deficiency?
Oh, Well, I've never heard of a inherited vitamin C deficiency because vitamin C, maybe some people metabolize vitamin C differently, but, vitamin C, the way you get vitamin C deficient is by not eating vitamin C. Vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin, so it's a vitamin you have to have regularly. It's not like we store up levels, and that's why you put somebody in a ship without any fresh produce, and they'll develop scurvy, because we constantly need to get vitamin C on a regular basis. And so it's not something you're kind of born with, although maybe some people have just genetically higher requirements than others, but regardless of what your genes are, you need to get vitamin C. The best sources, citrus fruits, tropical fruits, broccoli, bell peppers have lots of vitamin C. But basically, everywhere in the plant kingdom, you get a little bit of vitamin C. In terms of Lp(a), I think I have... It's something that I've been looking around for, because I've gotten that question before. So, something like LDL cholesterol, we have tremendous control over. Within 1 week changing our diet, we can dramatically change, which dramatically affects our heart disease risk. So Lp(a) may be an independent risk factor for heart disease, and the question is, can we do anything about it? And more importantly, if we do change it, does it actually change our risk? Is it just a marker for risk, or is it actually a causal factor? Does it actually play a role in disease? And I don't think that we have a good answer on that yet. And until we do, changing it, may not be useful. For example, HDL. HDL, so-called good cholesterol, that's just a marker of risk. It's not a causal factor. So there's no point in changing your HDL because it actually doesn't affect your heart disease risk. But it can be it can show where you are in the risk stratification. And so if you do have a high Lp(a), that may be a marker of increased risk, which just means that you have to put in that extra effort to eat especially healthy to change the markers, the causal factors that actually you do have control over, like LDL cholesterol, your triglycerides, your blood pressure. Though if Lp(a) does end up being a causal factor, I will do some videos about what we can do to change it.
Kathy says you've had a busy day today, so I just want to know, how much have you walked today? How many miles? How much time?
I'm on 16 miles.
Okay. Well, you're almost to your 17. I understand that's your goal.
By that, yeah, that's kind of the average of what the day happens. Yes, I'm almost there.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Sure, absolutely. It's so wonderful that you get together and support each other, and good luck eating healthy, and hope to be there in person one day soon.
Oh, wait. You got something? You got a bag?
Oh, yes, I've got a present. Hold on.
Okay, we sent him something as a thank you. He was so excited when we practiced today at 2. He said,
yes.
I got it.
Okay, it says, thank you from Chat and Chew. Do not open until Skype, May 24th. All right, you got that. Oh, this is fun. All right, hold on. I got my little bow here. Okay, wrapping paper. The cats will have fun playing with that. Okay, what does this say here? It says we should all be eating
fruits and vegetables as if our lives depended on it. Because they do.
They do! Who is this guy? Yay! Thank you! This is awesome!
Thank you, Dr.
Oh,
Berger.
look, it says Chat. It's a Chat and Chew shirt. Chat and Chew shirt.
Thanks so much.
Awesome, thank you!
Bye-bye.